Whew, we are back. Folks, how have you been? I know it's only been a week since or 2 weeks since the last podcast. A week break. But I'm back. You're back. How are you? There was a lot of feedback on the last podcast and I'm friggin' blown away. So thank you very much for listening to it. My name is Joey Kidney, for those who don't know, and you're listening to the Happy Times podcast. This is a podcast where there's no script. There's just a conversation between you and me, even if you're not being able to talk, obviously, because it's a podcast. It's just me. But I like to share my thoughts on here. I like to share just like how I'm feeling. I love to share my opinion and talk about things that you guys want me to talk about. A lot of people ask, like, where do I come up with, like, my topics, and how do I talk for it about it for so long? And like, you know what? Actually, I get a lot of the questions being like, how do you, like, are you okay? You speak a lot about breakups, and I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, did you break up with your girlfriend? I'm like, no. I'm like, then they're like, did she break up with you? Like, why are you so heartbroken? And I'm like, what do you mean, why am I so heartbroken? If you read my DMs for about 5 minutes, you're going to see about 1,000 messages that are about breakups. So clearly you are the ones that are heartbroken, and it's not a bad thing. And I've been heartbroken before, so I want to talk about it, and I'm here to help people, and I'm here to share my experiences that can hopefully help people. So people are always thinking that I'm a really sad guy, but I'm not. I'm a very, very happy dude. Obviously, I have my moments just like anyone else, but it's because my DMs are filled with people asking for help, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help people. That's been my goal all along. No matter the poetry, no matter the writings, no matter the videos, or like playing with my dog. I mean, I'm here to help people in every aspect of life. But today is a bit more of a chill podcast. Now, it's not that you're not going to get any help through it, but I figured we would have, I guess, the most conversation that we could have. And I posted my Instagram story. If you don't follow me over there, you're missing out a lot. Asking you guys to ask me questions. Now, there's a lot of questions. There's thousands of questions. So what I'm thinking is maybe at the end of each podcast, not including this one, obviously, because this one's going to be the Q&A, but I will include at the end of every podcast one of the questions that was submitted. And if you have a question, you can always DM it to me. But I'm going to pull from the questions that I got, because there's so many. I feel so bad that I can't go through them all. So I think I have about like 12 questions today that we're gonna jump into, and I'm gonna kind of keep it short and sweet, because I know I can go off on a tangent, and that's not what we're here. I guess it's a podcast, but I don't like doing that. I find the one thing that I've learned over this past like 2 years that's really helped me succeed a little bit more is to shut up. And I made a podcast about that a few weeks, maybe, no, not weeks, months back. And it got a lot of good traction. A lot of people were really interested in it. Sorry, I was taking my socks off. I'm somebody who, like, I love, if I'm at home, I'm barefoot. I hate wearing socks. It's the worst invention in the entire world. See, there's my tangent. Anyway, so we're going to start off with the first question. And it is, what is your goal in life right now? Oh. You know, I think there's a couple goals. And I had a hard time. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, but I've had a hard time coming up with goals that are personal and not to do with work. Because my work is so personal that it's really hard. So on the work side, I would love to, I'm going to speak this out into existence. And I'm actually waiting to hear back about something right now. So I'm going to jinx the crap out of this. But I would love to be a published author. Not a self-published author, a published author. I would love to have the opportunity to do that. I think I would wow everyone, and I would really love to do that. So my goal right now is that, to be a published author. My personal goal, I would love to be in a good spot, a good comfortable spot. And this is, okay, I'm going to say this. This is not in a bad way, okay? I don't mean this in a bad way, but I would love to be in a great spot with my girlfriend. both like stability wise, financial wise, love wise, all of that. I'd love to. We're very, very close right now. Like we've been working so hard. Not like too hard, not like we shouldn't be together. Don't get me wrong. We definitely should. But we've been working very hard to both get to a spot where we can share a routine and be comfortable. And I'm just so, I'm looking forward to it. We're so close and we've worked so hard, and I believe that we deserve it. We deserve a relaxed love, and I'm just really excited for it. So that's kind of like my goal right now, is like to move in together and like to like get life prepared for the future, if that makes sense, and be stable and be comfortable in it. I want to be comfortable with her. Not that I'm uncomfortable. Oh my God. I hope you know what I mean. Going on to question 2. What is a smell that brings you back to childhood? Wow. Oh gosh. I'm trying to think. I guess it's more like food. I know food has smells, but I think like craft dinner, like Katie, always brings me back to childhood. I don't know. I don't like eating like the fast food mac and cheese. I make my own mac and cheese now because I've gotten into cooking a lot. But for some reason, like my dad and I was helping them because they're redoing their home and they're renovating their home, and I was over there helping them, and he cooked mac and cheese, and I didn't like it, but I sat down and something about it was like, this is comfortable, this is nostalgic. This is something that my father and I would do all the time. And another thing that we would do all the time is go to Subway, like before hockey. Oh, there's a smell. This is a really weird smell. Not that I just smelled it, but I grew up playing hockey. I grew up playing and being sweaty and constantly hockey 7 days a week, all the time. And one of the things that always brings me back is like the smell of hockey gear. I know it's disgusting because it's just sweat, but something about it, like when the pandemic hit, I stopped playing hockey, and then I picked up hockey again, and like the smell of gloves, I was like, this is really nice. I don't know why, it's just so nice. The next question is, what are some good conversation starters without asking the same thing every day? There's this thing that I used to do when I was a single boy. Not that I would like always be trying to get a date or anything, but I would always talk to baristas. I loved a good barista. They made my day. And it was always something that like, or any cashier really, but you had to talk to them to order. And so they're there to talk to you. So I figured this is a great way for me to overcome my social anxiety, is to talk to somebody that I have to talk to, and they have to talk to me. And I would always go up and I would ask them how they are. And they would say, good, you? And I was like, you're just good. I'm going to need more than that. Like, how are you? How are you feeling? You tired? And I would just ask somebody how they're feeling. And it didn't even take too much. Whatever their answer was, I went off of that. So it was always a different conversation every single day. If they said good, I asked why they're good. If they said awful, I asked why they're awful. You know, I listened to them. And I think that's the greatest skill. It's not about asking the right questions. It's about listening to their answers. And then that's going to stem a whole new conversation. No one's going to say the same thing every day. No one's going to feel the same emotion every day. So it's always constantly going to be a different emotion. And I think that's the best thing. That's the best part. So just keep talking. And more importantly, keep listening. The next one is, what do you appreciate most in another person? I really like this thing, and I don't have the specific word for it, but you know when you're sitting on a couch and you're able to just sit there and be quiet and laugh and yell and say anything, and it doesn't have to make sense, and you're just fine. If nothing was said, you're just okay. You're amazing. You're comfortable. That's my favorite thing, is being comfortable around another person. And I don't know the word for it. So maybe, how about this? If you know the word for it, DM me on Instagram. This will be the moment where people DM me. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know what it is, but let me know. But I think the thing that I appreciate most, like the proper answer, I love honesty. I love somebody who says what they want to say. And I've really gotten into that a lot more recently because I found that I was just like saying the answers in my head of like, okay, I think about what I want to say and then I don't say it. But now I'm kind of like this blunt human being, but not in a rude way. Blunt as in I don't... Listen, I'm not a bad person, so I'm not going to be thinking awful thoughts. So when a thought comes to my head, I choose the first one. Now, obviously, there's still a filter going on, but I choose the first thought that comes in my head. If somebody asks me how something tastes, I'm not going to go, it's good. But it's not my favorite. No, I'm going to say, it's not my favorite. I don't need to say that it's good. I don't need to say anything else. I just have to say it's not my favorite. Or I can describe why it's not my favorite. And just, we care too much about how we're going to be perceived when we don't even know what we're going to say yet. We should just say how we're feeling and speak our honest truth. And that's, I don't know, that's the best thing we can do. Next one is, if you are somewhere alone, but you can do anything, would you call it freedom or loneliness? Oh my goodness. Oh, geez. Okay, I got to read this again. If you are somewhere alone and you can do anything, would you call that freedom or loneliness? I would call that loneliness. I wouldn't call that freedom because you're alone. If you are somewhere and you can do anything, that would be freedom. If you are somewhere alone, that would be loneliness. I did see this question on TikTok the other day. It was like, if you could choose to like die right now or be immortal. And take your time, think about it. You guys, listeners at home, you think about that. But it was interesting. Their answers immediately were, one guy said, he was like, I die right now, kill me. And the other one was like, let me think. Immortal. That means everything else dies. If there's an apocalypse, I'm left. No matter how many times I try to die, I can't. You're there forever. And he came to the conclusion that was the scariest thing in the world, is to live for too long, to be immortal. And I was like, wow. And I think it just goes to show that, like, we're on this earth to celebrate it with others. We're on this earth to share it with others and love with others. And as much as we want our alone time, it's definitely not something that we I was going to say cherish, but our alone time can be a very, very scary thing. And I guess you can kind of relate to it if you've ever lost a loved one or a family member. And it's like, there's times where you're like, I just want to be alone from you. And you slam the door in their face and then they're gone. And you wish you never did that. And I couldn't imagine what being immortal and being the only one left, how that would feel like. It would feel like you just slammed the door on everyone. But they're never coming back. Yeah. Next one is, what's your best quote that you would suggest to anyone? I always say this. It's my mom's quote. And I mean, it could be anyone's quote. It's not very long. But she always says to me, whatever happens, happens. And that's it. And that's all it is. And I think it's so important to me because it just it grounds me. It reminds me that I'm not in control of everything. There are things that I can't control. And once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to be okay with whatever the outcome is. I'm going to be able to handle it. And there's loved ones that we have around us that are going to be able to help us too. And that quote always it's the first one that comes to my mind. It's the first one that helps me through anything. Whenever I'm in a tough situation, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm good to move on. Next one is, what do you believe is the source of art? Why are some people drawn to it while others aren't? Interesting. What do I believe is the source of art? I think art is, obviously it's different for each of us. And I think we're drawn to it because we're emotionally attached to it. And so for me, for example, let's talk about music. For me, I like musicians that can't sing very well. I like them. I don't like massive ballads. I don't love like Adele reaching certain heights with her voice. She's amazingly talented, but I much rather listen to somebody who has that imperfection. And the reason why is because I can relate to it more. And so then we go to drawing and artists and painters. The type of art that I like is more abstract. It's more squiggly lined. It's more sketchy. And that's because I can't draw. So I can relate to that image more. I don't look at this beautiful landscape of mountains that was painted over 172 hours and I'm like, yeah, that screams me. No, I'm going to go for the silhouette sketch outline of a girl with a flower in her hair. And it's just like, that's my style. And so I think people are drawn to the art that they can relate to. We all deal with a little bit of imposter syndrome, I believe. And when we're looking at something that we can't relate to, we tend to believe that, it's not for us. And that's okay, right? Like, not all of us can draw, not all of us can sing. And so I like more poetic style songs, and that's completely okay. I don't need to love these crazy ballads. Like, I love Frank Sinatra, and I don't think he's the best singer out there, but his voice just reminds me of just like a father singing, or an uncle, at a cottage or something, and it's just really warm for me. It's something I can relate to. I can sing like that, so it's really nice. Going on to the next one. If you could go back to a specific moment in your life, what would it be and why? Oh gosh. Okay. I don't know if anyone else is like this. I can't remember anything. And it's not because of all my concussions or all my head injuries. If you know, you know. But I think it's because I don't care. It's not that maybe I don't care is not the right words, but I don't have the mental capacity to store these things in my mind, to hold this grudge, to hold guilt. Guilt's gonna stay, actually. It's back in a suitcase. It's staying a while. No, I just don't have specific moments in my life. Like, I don't really remember my childhood. I look at my mother and I don't look at her and remember her from 20 years ago. I look at my mother and I look at her now, and I'm thankful for where she is now. And I'm a very much person who's in the moment. And my mind just is not capable of remembering things. So they're not like a specific moment. I still remember things. There are moments in my head, but there's not one that stands out more than the other. And it's all foggy. So I don't know if anyone else is like that, but sorry, I don't really have an answer. But I also wouldn't go back in life. I really love moving forward, even though right now is a really, really hard time for my life, but I'm really excited for the future. I'm really excited to move forward. The next question is, when you're having a sad day, what's one thing you try to do to make yourself a little happier? I sweat. Yeah, I know. I'm that guy who's going to say go to the gym, but you don't even need to go to the gym. It's just about like getting outside or getting the sweat in and petting a dog. Petting a dog can relieve so much of your stress. And so maybe go for a walk with your dog. That's something that I always do. If I'm ever feeling down, I grab Franco and I go for a little walk. And it's something that, maybe I'm not sweating, but I'm definitely exerting myself, and it's just really peaceful. And one of the things that I love to do on a sad day is actually think about why I'm sad, think about my thoughts, and I like to create art with that. I think it's really beautiful. Maybe that's why I can't remember anything, because I just created into something else, but those are the things that I do on a sad day. Sarah is asking, and this is the next question. She's asking, how is the house situation going? I realize I haven't really updated anyone. I found a place. Yeah, not excited about it. I'm a little excited. I'm excited. I'm not excited to move, but I'm excited to have change. I love change. You know me, I love change. it's just I'll be completely honest here. I was planning on buying this year. I was planning on buying a home, and then we got the news that we had to move out because the owner is selling this home, and we're renting this home. And I was like, okay, you know what? Screw it. I am going to spend I'm down to spend like, I don't know, $3,000 a month and get this like really nice place. You know, it could be anywhere, but really nice. I want to live nice for the last year, one more year, and then I'm going to buy a place. And listen, I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm just like, I wanted to treat myself. I wanted to, the number one thing I have to invest in, especially being self-employed and working from home, is I have to work in a nice home. I have to work in a spot where I feel comfortable and I'm happy, and obviously within my budget. I hate spending money, but I was like, okay, let's go for it. There was nothing. I had the hardest time finding a home, even like trying to be somewhat bougie. And I know that's not that much money per month if you're like living in New York City or anything like that. But you know, I'm in Ottawa. Like it's not that desirable, but I couldn't find anything. And so it took over a month to find something. And it took so many proposals and everything and offers, and you know, finally got a place. And I'm excited. It's not in the range of bougie that I wanted, but I'm also kind of happy that I didn't do that, because you never know how the year's going to go. We could have another pandemic or something that's going to happen, or this war. Oh, I really hope it doesn't get worse. It's just, I'm sure everyone hates it, but it's just so tough to watch. But yeah, you never know how life is going to go and what's going to happen. So I'm not necessarily having a plan B, but I'm definitely watching money because, you know, self-employed. That's the lifestyle. But I will update you. I will make like a TikTok or a Instagram Reels and stories while I'm moving and stuff. You'll be able to see the place. The next question is tips about not stressing over society's expectations of what you should accomplish in 20s. Well, folks, I have a book. And it's called What's the Rush? And I feel like that's the answer to this question right now. There is no rush, man. Like, I promise you, if you grab that book, I think it's going to answer your question. If you're stressing about your expectations or society's expectations of what you should accomplish at 20, like that's the book for you. I promise. Read the chapter What's the Rush? It's going to be for you. Or you can listen to the song on Spotify, but I promise the book is going to answer a lot. You know, there's so many people that like, we obviously feel like we need to have $1 million by the age of 20, or we have to have a home, or we have to be the smartest person or excel in our jobs and stuff. But the reality is none of our parents did that. It's like 1 in a billion to be a billionaire. So it's like, you know, you don't have to worry about that. I promise you that the rate that you are going in your life right now is a very comfortable rate for you. It's your speed, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. This isn't saying that you don't need to accomplish anything. This is saying that you are doing exactly what you need to do, and you are exactly where you need to be. The next question, it's a little bit different. How to train your dog / how to start, especially with an older dog, if you have any advice. So for those who don't know, I also live like this separate life where I have a YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram for my dog. It's called Frankie to the Moon, and I talk a lot about advice and training and stuff like that. And then I also have some fun videos over there. But like that's my other half, and there's something I love to do. I speak very well with animals, and the best thing I can recommend somebody to do for training their dog is pick up your rewards. A lot of people stop rewarding their dogs, especially once they get a little bit older. So that's praise, that's treats, that's just acknowledging them. And I think that's the main thing. If you want to train your dog and how to start, you need to take the first step and think, okay, why would somebody learn something new if they don't get a reward from it? That's how things work. And so pick up those treats and start rewarding your dog. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is there's this YouTube channel that I subscribed to when I was training my puppy, and it's called McCann Dog Training, and they helped me out with everything. So definitely just check out that YouTube channel. Next question is we only have 2 more. So next question is importance of loving yourself before trying to find someone else. got a DM and I took a screenshot of it because I really liked my answer. Hold on. Somebody goes, so this might be really weird. So this is like a question to a question. Hi, this might be really weird and random, but since I have a question, since you talk a lot about love, do you think that people are unlovable or hard to love? Like, what's your opinion on people who feel like that's what they are? Now that I'm reading back, I'm like, oh, that's kind of confusing. So basically she's saying, do you think that some people are unlovable? And my answer to this was, I think people are hard to love when they don't find love in themselves. So how are they supposed to dish out a plate that they cannot serve themselves? And what I mean by that is when we don't understand love for ourselves, there's no possible way that we're going to be able to understand it for somebody else. There's going to be ways that you can manage, but you're going to burn yourself out because you don't know how to manage your own self. And so that's super important. It's not about being enough for somebody else, but it's about doing enough for yourself. It's about knowing your capabilities and your limits in order to love someone. Because a lot of us are put in situations like, okay, let's talk about like dating very bluntly. Okay, you're alone basically for the first part of your life. Like, yeah, your mom and your parents are there, but you're able to do whatever you want. You're able to feel however you want to feel, and you don't have to share your bed. You don't have to share your clothes, nothing. And then you date, and then all of that becomes somebody else's, and you have to share things, and you have to figure out why somebody else is feeling something. That's so difficult. That is a hard thing to do. And can you imagine doing that while not liking who you are? While needing to change the routine that you have for yourself to become a better you while handling somebody else. That's all, oh my gosh, that seems impossible. So I think the importance of loving yourself before trying to love someone else is very, very important. Obviously, there's no 100% self-love. There's no perfect equation that's going to be like, okay, well, I did the calculations and by 26, I'm going to be able to love someone else because if I keep up my routine. No, it's not that. It's just knowing who you are, how you feel. It's answering the whys to yourself before you have to answer it for somebody else. I hope that helps. And the last question, folks, how to act when people try to change you, but you're still trying to figure yourself out. Wow, that kind of goes with it. How to act? Yo, get out. Tell them to take off. Take off means F off in Canadian. Just tell them, no, that person should not be trying to change you. No one should be trying to change you. Somebody could be helping you to change if that's the path that you want to go on. But if it's not the path that you want to go on, you got to speak up. Because you might be okay with being pushed around now, but you're going to break down later. Stand your ground. If you're listening to this and somebody's asking you to change, please stand your ground. I promise it will be worth the loss if they leave. Because somebody that truly loves you will stand with you. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to the Happy Times podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a little rating, maybe a 5-star rating. 5 stars. Leave a 5-star. You can do it. Just 5. You don't need to check out any other numbers. Just leave a 5-star rating. For those who don't know, we just had a sale, and I think it's still going, but we're going to have another one very soon on Stay U, where books were $10 off, and then everything else was 25% off. So we had a huge sale. Go to stayu.ca, check out if it's still going, and well, thank you guys very much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope tonight, well, I hope you dream of something wonderful. All right. Bye, guys.
Introducing Under Armour's Infinity High Sports Bra. Its ergonomic design is molded to support the natural movement of your body. With cord-out padding, the better breathability eliminates extra bulk without sacrificing support. And quick-dry padding is Under Armour's fastest-drying padding yet. When you're lifting heavy, running fast, and pushing yourself further than ever before, you need a bra that will help you go that extra mile and make you feel your best. Shop the Infinity High Sports Bra now at UA.com.